Back in the locker room, Country Wolf. This segment sponsored by Chrysler, Jeep, and Dodge. And, of course, with us is Tony DeFazio, the Pittsburgh Sports Report. We're talking a little bit Pitt football. Quarterback situation. Who's the guy after spring heading into their training camp this summer?
Up in the air, boy.
Yeah,
I tell you what, it's I mean, it really is. The two guys, the two veterans, would be Billy Stahl, Seton LaSalle kid, and Kevin Smith, Seneca Valley guy.
Right.
Stahl's been the backup for 2 years, but has really no meaningful game action. Although he does have he took the backup reps for 2 full seasons, so I guess that puts him a little bit ahead of everybody else. Pat Bostic's the big incoming freshman. He's on campus now. Real big football IQ, not the most mobile guy in the world, so we're not sure how the offensive line's going to look right now.
Where's Bostic
from? Manheim Township.
Manheim.
Yeah, there's a Manheim Central and a
Manheim.
Manheim Township.
That's
He's
right.
from Manheim Township,
Yeah.
which is
they
in
close
the
together?
Lancaster area. No, Manheim Central's a little further central PA and north, and Manheim Township is out in Lancaster.
Did Dan Kreiner go to Manheim Central? Yeah, I didn't believe
Did
Dan
he go to
Kreiner
Manheim
did.
Central?
Yeah,
There you go.
I'm sure the
Kreiner.
Manheim Steamrollers did.
Yeah, they are.
Good band.
Great Christmas song.
Yeah. So I mean, I've heard a lot of good things about this guy, but he's ready? Well, first of all, these guys now, how the rules have changed. Guys are going on campus now.
Yeah, he's a student at Pitt right now.
Yeah,
I mean, he's
so
taking summer classes.
Summer, not second semester.
He was not able to start second semester. He wanted to and had the grades to do it, but the way his high school was set up, the way their semesters were set up, he was unable to do that. So that's becoming a pretty popular thing, though.
They can go early. They can go early.
You can graduate early. There's a perfect example.
Steph's going up to Penn State.
I could have graduated if they'd let me do that. If I could have gotten an early start at that wouldn't have been a problem.
All it would have been is more classes that you failed to complete. That's right. Oh, you could have finished? You could have finished now. Why didn't you finish now? How old are you? How many years have you been out of school? I mean, you could have taken 1 class a year and been done 12 years ago.
No kidding.
That's a lot of high math. I don't know.
Okay,
let's move along.
Yeah, well, because why don't they do that when I was? They would have just, well, if you were running, you couldn't wait to get home for the summer.
Well, that's true.
That's
true.
So, anyways.
Yeah, those guys are on campus early to try to acclimate themselves to the academic end of it, first, I guess, and then I'll say the academic end first, although the coaches probably have something else in mind.
Right.
But, to get themselves a bit of a head start and to compete, it gives them a heads up to compete on some of the other freshmen.
Right. It would have been. But Wolf makes a good point. It would have been great to have been able to have that opportunity.
Well, you 6-year plan, weren't you?
5-year plan. Got redshirted. Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Well,
but hey, I don't care. It took me 5 years. I still have the degree. It's still hanging right there in my den, right there.
It's still not that common. I think there's 65 kids across college doing it right now. That's twice as many of those there was last year at this time. So it's becoming more and more popular, certainly.
You know what has really interested me is all these guys stay on campus through the summer, and that's another thing that could have helped you. Right. Sorry, that's another
amongst many other things.
That's the only time it's nice in Syracuse, isn't it? June, July.
Can I tell you something?
No, there's 2 weeks in July.
Okay.
What's nice is that these guys they have their classes. They take a class or two over the summer. They work out with the fellas, and the real great thing that would have been so appealing to me is you don't have to work in the summer. I was always working. I didn't. I had to make some money and.
But isn't it the way, though? Look at the Steelers. I mean, look at the NFL. I mean, now they have all these introductory, training camp, mini camps, OTAs, and it's the same thing. In effect, in college, that's what they're doing.
It's becoming the same thing, and you can even go before college. You can even go before college. There's the schools in Florida have spring football practice.
There you go.
Over the years, back when we first came to the Steelers, Wolf and I, Pitt, had the 70s Pitt team, the late 70s Pitt team, where all the local guys stayed. Played their college football here. What's been the biggest challenge over the years? And there've been a lot. I've heard a lot of excuses, but in your mind, why is it that Pitt loses so many of the premier players?
I'll give a very simplistic answer.
Yeah.
They were winning a lot of games in the 70s and 80s.
But even prior,
But well, you're right, because you go back to when Johnny Majors came to Pitt and got all the local guys to stay. There were no scholarship limits then, for one thing. Majors came in and threw down about 100 scholarship offers. I mean, literally, if you were playing football around here, he threw a net in and dumped you on the turf at Pitt Stadium.
Right.
And you can't do that now. I think the scholarship limits have made schools like them. It's 85.
Yeah, right. 85.
The MAC has gotten better because there's a lot of those smaller.
Indiana State's gotten worse.
Indiana State. There you go. Okay.
Yeah.
But
we were better at 100 scholarships. I think there were 30 in my class. 5 finished. 5.
Wow.
What's that?
Yeah, 5 finished the plan. 4 years. 5 played 4 years of football at Indiana State.
Well, you took
Five-
an extra
5
year.
out of 30.
You deprived somebody.
That's right. Could have been another. There's some kids staying home
Took
not
some
crying.
year from
Right.
some kid.
I'm sorry. But anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, I just think it's probably a combination of things. Certainly the wins and losses can't be ignored. I don't think there's any question about that. The scholarship limits probably have something to do with that as well. I mean, you just can't take as many kids. One thing I think that was interesting, a couple of years ago, Walt Harris talked about how Pitt was going to be wide receiver U, and a lot of offensive linemen were turned off by that. Didn't want to go somewhere where, well, I'm going to be in pass protection 65% of the time.
Nobody likes that.
No.
If you're a hog, you want to be able to come off the ball and just kind of impose your will.
And I think that stuck a little bit, and I think that hurt them a little bit. It was a relatively decent program. At least it was a borderline top 25 program under Walt Harris, but they still were unable to get the top offensive linemen, and that still, I think, has been their biggest bugaboo. That's done a nice job recruiting since he's been here, and they're getting some good skill players. They're doing a better job along the line, but they're still losing some guys. Steph Wisniewski last year goes to Penn State.
Well,
Gino
you knew
Gray,
that was
that's it. Right.
No, that's a legacy thing. His brother, his dad played there. His uncle played there. There was no. He was close to a lot of places, and they still recruited him. I got to give Greg Cattuso all the credit in the world. Cattuso says, "I'm still coming after you, Steph. I'm going to come after you until you definitely show up on Penn State campus." But you knew that that was going to
happen, right?
Yeah,
but guys like Gino Gradkowski goes to West Virginia.
Right.
A couple of years ago, we already mentioned Tyler Reed was a guy, a local guy, an offensive lineman that they lost, and there's been a lot of others. They just lost one last year out of Perry High School, Cameron Holland, who went to North Carolina. And that was a bit of a surprise. So for whatever reason, there's been a lot of different reasons, but the lineman especially has been what's really, I think, kept them from getting to the next level.
Has Dave Wanstead made the inroads that he needed to make to get the local recruiting better, though?
I think he's made those inroads. He needs to back it up on the field. I think he's really put the time in. You talk to the high school coaches; they all have great things to say about Wanstead. They like what they're doing at Pitt, they really want their kids to listen to the pitch that Wanstead's going to give them. If they can translate some of that onto the football field, that'll make things a lot different. And that just hasn't happened yet. And Penn State's winning, West Virginia's winning, Ohio State's winning. So that's only half the battle. You have to win.
Okay, well, now here's speaking of having to win. Pitt this year on the road at Louisville, Rutgers, West Virginia, and Michigan State. Not to mention Virginia, but a
lot of body blows there, huh? Man,
a
lot of shots.
Yeah, so optimistic, Mr. DeFazio, or
it's tough for me to sit here and be too optimistic.
Wolf had them at 11-0 this year, so 11-1.
It's not on the Polaroid yet.
Yeah. Okay, and they haven't played him yet, so they haven't lost yet, right? I guess, right? I just think it's going to be tough for this team. They're going to be breaking in a brand new quarterback. They have major problems along the. They have major problems at every position at linebacker. They graduated a lot of guys, and some of the guys they were depending on to fill those voids have gotten hurt or had some injuries or had some illnesses. So that's been a bit of a problem. And they're losing a cornerback who was a shutdown corner last year, and so that's gone. So I think those are some tough positions to fill. I think it's getting there. All the tough games are on the road. That's not easy. I don't know if they can do something about that schedule. It seems so unbalanced right now. Literally all the tough games are away. 08, I think, is the year that a lot of Pitt fans have circled. Now we're going to find out. We're going to learn what we have here with this new coaching staff.
Well, I want to look to 07. Tony, thank you for joining us. Thank you very much. Tony DeFazio, the Pittsburgh Sports Reporter. Of course, you can read his great stuff on anything that's going on in college football, high school football, recruiting, et cetera, et cetera. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're shifting gears as Wolf does his dance, because dancing does not only work for football, but it works for boxing as well. And we're going to do a little amateur boxing. We're going to have Jesse Lubash, the #2 ranked USA welterweight, along with his trainer, the head trainer from South Park Boxing Club, Muscles Healy, right here in the locker room. That's a look.